KMT New Taipei Councilor accused of embezzling public funds for 15 years. China to end tariff exemptions on 34 Taiwanese agricultural products. Global support for Taiwan rises. DPP resolution sparks legislative tensions. Diddy Combs charged with sex trafficking and racketeering. North Korea fires short-range ballistic missiles second time in a week. Hezbollah hit by a wave of exploding pagers. Wildfires in Portugal as Europe sends aircraft to help. Zimbabwe to cull 200 elephants to feed people.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Thursday, September 19th, and here are your top stories. And in local news, Kuomintang's new Taipei City Councilor, Bai Peiru, is accused of embezzling 5 million NT dollars in public funds over a 15-year period using fake personnel. Prosecutors searched her offices and questioned family members, including her father, former legislator Bai Tianzhi. Bai was released on 600,000 NT bail with travel restrictions. China's Ministry of Finance announced it will halt tariff exemptions on 34 Taiwanese agricultural products starting September 25, 2024. Taiwan's Affairs Office spokesperson Chen Binghua expressed strong support, linking the decision to Taiwan's independence activities, stating such actions harm Taiwan's peace and development. Australian and Dutch parliaments voiced opposition to China's distortion of UN Resolution 2758, urging separation from the One China principle. Taiwan's DPP proposed a resolution in support, but tensions erupted during negotiations, with Legislative Speaker Han Kuo-yu abruptly leaving, prompting other lawmakers to follow. And in global news, Diddy Combs is being held without bail after he was charged with sex trafficking by force, transportation to engage in prostitution, and racketeering conspiracy. The charges alleged he ran an enterprise engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, and other crimes. Federal prosecutors said Combs abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct from 2008 to the present. The allegations mirror 11 civil complaints filed against him since 2023.
Combs, with help from associates at Combs Enterprises, is accused of transporting commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. He allegedly manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers, and coerced them into participating by giving them drugs, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, threatening to cut it off, and using intimidation and violence. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs allegedly kept videos he filmed of them engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. The music mogul's lawyer suggested that the sex trafficking charge is an example of the government misjudging consensual conduct.
South Korea and Japan said North Korea fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles on Wednesday towards its east coast, days after Pyongyang unveiled a uranium enrichment facility and vowed to strengthen its nuclear arsenal. The missile launched from Kaichon around 6:50 a.m. in a northeast direction and flew about 250 miles. Officials did not specify how many were fired or where they landed. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command said on X that it was aware of the launches and was consulting closely with Seoul and Tokyo.
The JCS said in a statement, "We strongly condemn North Korea's missile launch as a clear provocation that seriously threatens the peace and stability of the Korean Peninsula, vowing overwhelming responses to any further provocations." About 30 minutes after its first missile notice, Japan's Coast Guard reported that North Korea had fired another ballistic missile. The North fired several short-range ballistic missiles last Thursday, the first such launch in more than 2 months, which it later described as a test of a new 600mm multiple-launch rocket system. South Korea's JCS suggested the launch might have been a test of weapons for export to Russia, amid intensifying military cooperation between the two countries.
Pagers used by hundreds of members of the militant group Hezbollah exploded nearly simultaneously on Tuesday in Lebanon and Syria, killing at least 9 people, including an 8-year-old girl, and wounding several others. Hezbollah and the Lebanese government blame Israel for what appears to be a sophisticated remote attack. An American official said Israel had briefed the United States on Tuesday after the conclusion of the operation, in which small amounts of explosive hidden in the pagers were detonated.
The Israeli military declined to comment. Among those wounded was Iran's ambassador to Lebanon. The pagers that exploded were reportedly acquired by Hezbollah after the group's leader ordered members in February to stop using cell phones, warning they could be tracked by Israeli intelligence. A Hezbollah official said the pagers were a new brand but declined to specify how long they had been in use. Taiwanese company Gold Apollo said Wednesday that it authorized its brand on the Arkansas 924 pagers used by Hezbollah, but the devices were produced and sold by a company called BAC. It was not immediately clear if non-Hezbollah members also carried any of the exploding pagers.
5,000 firefighters struggled on Tuesday to contain multiple wildfires ranging across northern Portugal, which are blamed for causing at least 6 deaths, including 4 firefighters, and forcing an unknown number of residents to flee their homes. Around 100 fires, reported by national authorities, stretch firefighting brigades. Authorities have yet to provide figures on how many people have evacuated or how many homes have been lost. 3 firefighters had died while traveling by road on Tuesday, but it was unclear whether their vehicles had crashed before being engulfed by flames.
With no rain forecast, national authorities extended the fire alert until Thursday. The hot, dry conditions fueling the outbreaks in Portugal contrast with downpours causing flooding in Central Europe. One of the hardest hit areas is the district of Aveiro, south of the northern city of Porto, but fires are also raging out of control in other wooded regions. Houses reduced to ashes and smoke billowing over charred terrain in the area of Castro de Aire. Ground units are being supported by Portuguese water-dropping aircraft. Fellow European Union members Spain, France, Italy, and Greece have committed to providing 8 additional planes to assist local forces.
Zimbabwe plans to cull 200 elephants to feed communities facing acute hunger following the worst drought in 4 decades. The El Niño-induced drought wiped out crops in southern Africa, affecting 68 million people and causing food shortages across the region. Zimbabwe Park and Wildlife Authority spokesperson told Reuters, "We can confirm that we are planning to cull about 200 elephants across the country. We are working on modality on how we are going to do it." He said the elephant meat would be distributed to communities in Zimbabwe affected by the drought.
The cull is the first in Zimbabwe since 1988. It follows neighboring Namibia's decision last month to cull 83 elephants and distribute the meat to people affected by the drought. More than 200,000 elephants are estimated to live in a conservation area spread over 5 southern African countries: Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Angola, and Namibia, making the region home to one of the largest elephant populations worldwide. The culling is also part of the country's efforts to decongest its parks, which can only sustain 55,000 elephants. Zimbabwe is home to over 84,000 elephants. With one of the largest elephant populations, Zimbabwe also has about $600,000 worth of ivory stockpiles that it cannot sell.
The answer for yesterday was B, assassination. The sudden assassination of the political leader left the country in turmoil. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Hezbollah hit by a wave of exploding pagers. Number 1, provocation, 挑衅, 激怒. His constant insults were a deliberate provocation to start a fight. Number 2, overwhelming, 压倒性的. The overwhelming support from the crowd boosted the team's morale. Number 3, intensity, 增加加剧. The government plans to intensify efforts to combat climate change. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's it for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Wei Li, your host. I'll see you next time.